So I think now people are understanding that, and this time around, look, we have DeFi, we have NFTs, we have so much more. We have institutional treasury holding Bitcoin, and those are huge pools of money that's coming in. So I think each cycle we'll still go through bull and bear cycles.
Yeah,
that's just how markets work. So,
yeah.
But
this is going to be a huge bear market in NFTs, and look, we saw this with internet stocks too. In the early days of the internet, everybody jumped in, and it's really a spray and pray investment approach, right? Because you're trying to find out who the real players are. And you saw that with early days. Now people will mint anything, and if you have a following, people will buy it, right?
Yeah.
People will put out tokens, and if you can sell enough of them, if you can hype them enough, then people will buy them. And just like you're seeing the tokens go way up, and then they all kind of trade in parallel. Yeah. The biggest difference between the early days of the internet and when the internet bubble burst and what's happening with tokens is one, interest rates, and two, it's a lot easier to hype a token than it is to hype a stock. There's no SEC rules per se that prevent you from doing some of these things. And so you're right, CZ, there's going to be cycles, and there's going to be big drops in a lot of these things. And at the end of the day, in my opinion anyways, the underlying technology will make a difference. And the principles in play of are they a good company doing smart things will make or break the company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Actually, with that in mind, it'd be great to dive into some of the sort of specific DeFi applications and NFT applications you've taken a look at so far, Mark.
Feels like.
Sorry?
It feels like I looked at all of them, but there's still many more to go.
Awesome. Do you have favorite components of the DeFi ecosystem?
I don't want to really hype things at all because it's interesting because, again, going back to the early days of the internet, when I went on CNBC, I could watch the ticker. If I'm talking about stocks, I could watch the ticker and those stocks would be going up. And it's the same thing with tokens now with social media, right? People, I must have 20 wallets, right? And people, one of, where I minted some things, that's obviously going to be public. And so people look what I put in that wallet, and that's kind of my hype box, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, I tried, the things that I've already talked about publicly are Injective, MFT, Matic, what's the other ones? And then I'm in Ethereum and Bitcoin. And then I bought some Phantom. But those are in those wallets, so people are going to be able to see that public anyways. And then there's some other ones where I've invested that I'm not ready to talk about yet that are in different wallets. There's not a lot different about it. I mean, the biggest difference is the SEC, right? Because most of the internet and the ensuing internet bubble was done through public companies. And effectively, there's tokens are not equities at all, and I'm not suggesting that, but they're tradable. Right? They're tradable assets that go up and down in value. And when something can go up and down in value and people want them to go higher, they're going to hype them and they're going to play games to get those prices up there. And, the way DeFi is working, there's a lot of amazing things to DeFi. I love DeFi because, every Bitcoin, every Ethereum that you own, to use those two as an example, not to exclude BNB, but those two in particular, you're a bank, right? And you can lend, you can borrow, and it's decentralized if you do it right, so that you have a lot of power and the friction is reduced considerably versus traditional banking. And when it comes to exchanging value with somebody else, it's easier than Venmo. It's easier, because there's nobody, it's not centralized, right? And so I think the impact there is incredibly dramatic, and you'll start to see societal influence as a result as this grows. And so while there's a lot of hype and a lot of this yield farming, I think can be challenging and scary, right? Because when the underlying factor, when people are chasing liquidity, and you guys have to deal with this, so tell me if I'm wrong, CZ. I'm still learning this, right? When you chase liquidity and trying to find balance, right? Because you're trying to get all the pairs lined up. If you don't have enough DAI, you've got to go pay to get DAI. If you don't have enough Tether, you got to pay, or other tokens, right? If you don't have enough BNB, I got to pay more for BNB. But the yield returns are in the tokens themselves, right? And so, even though you set a limit, it's almost like the stocks that keep on giving out options and warrants, right? Where even though your treasury has a limited amount, you're paying people to do this. And, people underlying just resell those tokens, and then they just go out into the wild, if you will, and just increase the total number of tokens being exchanged. And that's not really creating fundamental value, right? That's just trying to get money to move around. There's a lot of shifting money around and a lot of chasing money, and it's a game of musical chairs at some level, right? And so when somebody can't pay the toll, or somebody can't, when you get tokens who aren't exchanged, then it's going to be a problem. So what I think is going to happen, I'd be curious what your thoughts are. I think new tokens are going to have to bank. They're going to have to put up, stable coins to say, and maybe it's happening already. Binance, I need for you to change to do swaps on this. And so I'll put up 1 million stable coins, tethered to the USD, and you'll trade this for me. And as long as everything works, I'll make up your deficit. Are you guys starting to see that at all, or do you just do it based off of volume and interest? I've minted a bunch of stuff where I've played with it and sold them on Mintable.app and Rarible.com and OpenSea.io. And so I started off where I just took a GIF file of me walking into a Mavs game to go work out, and I put up 10 of them. I think at $25 each, whatever the equivalent ETH was. And I'm like, no one's going to buy this shit. And bam, not only did they sell, but they kept on being retraded. And I only set my royalty at 10%, I think, at that point. And I was like, oh my God. And then I tried some other things. So then I created my own version of Cameo. Do you guys know what Cameo is? Cameo is an app/site where celebrities, where you can go and ask a celebrity to record something for you. So you can go and ask Mr. Wonderful, would you record, say happy birthday to my friend Sam, and I'll pay you $500, right? Okay. So what I did, I said, okay, I'm going to create my own version of Cameo. And so I created a little video that I minted. I think this one was on Rarible. And I said, if you buy this, and it was the equivalent of $2,500 in ETH, if you buy this, I'm going to unlock a special email address that I created specifically for this token. And you can send me an email and I'll customize a video just for you.